It's the mind behind the curtain. With your hosts, Alex and Jose.
What up, y'all?
How y'all doing? Get ready, because we're going to talk about the yin and the yang.
The bad, the good.
Everything universal. The positive and the negative.
The evil.
And the good. The wrong.
The unknown.
And that's right. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Yeah, that's right, baby. How you doing, fellas? Ow! Woo! How you doing, my man? I'm doing good. Here we go. All right, man. I am honored and proud to say that today we have a very interesting guest on another episode of The Mind Behind the Curtain. Today we are proud to interview Dudley, right? Dudley. Dudley,
that's funny.
He's a Freemason, and man, we got some questions and some.
Well, let's start about the history of Freemasons.
Let's get right into it, people. Let's talk about the history.
Well, you know, the history of Freemasonry goes back way before than even what we have established today in terms of the structure of how Freemasonry exists. In principle, what do Masons do? They build. Right? Yeah. And we've had buildings that were erected long before we even came into existence. And people had that knowledge. They had to acquire that knowledge from somewhere. And they had different aspects of everybody who worked to make a complete project. Just like you have today, you've got project managers who basically are the head of a project, but you've got different people in different parts. But when it comes together, it builds something whole. And that's a huge part of how the concept of Freemasonry actually works, because it's taken a human being, a man, a woman, not that women are Freemasons, but it's about building yourself to become a better human being. And I think that's something that is missed and lost, because there's a lot of miseducation in regards to Freemasonry because of that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So the ideology behind Freemasonry is that you construct a building to host something positive, to host, I guess you can say in other words, like enlightenment, knowledge, positivity, right?
Well, it's about building good men. I mean, the idea that attracted me to Freemasonry when I was younger, and I grew up with men around me who were Freemasons, and I questioned, like, what were they doing? Why do they dress up so nice? Where do they go to these meetings? Like, what are they doing in there? And then, it was all secretive. Nobody would tell you nothing, right? Yeah. And so you're always curious. As a little guy, you're like, what's going on, Pops? I want to know what's going on. It's like, I'm not telling you nothing. You're not old enough yet. But what I realized later on was that all those men, I saw them live their lives a certain way. They treated, they took good care of their families. They took good care of people in the community. They did a lot of stuff where they didn't really ask a lot of themselves. And I was kind of curious as to why do you guys do that? Like, I don't understand. Mm-hmm. But when I got involved with Freemasonry, one of the things that I learned early in my understanding of it was, to become a Freemason, you don't have to be a perfect man. You just have to be a good man trying to be a better man. And in the process of joining that organization or being part of that building, you're building not only yourself, but you're building with brothers around you who will help you to become better.
Brotherhood.
That's amazing.
Brotherhood. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Interesting. So when did it all originate?
Well, there are many different theories on how it originated and where it originated from. We have theories that it originated in Egypt, ancient Egypt, because there were craft guilds at that time that built the pyramids and whatnot and the structure of it. We have alluded to stories of, during the Judeo-Christian era as well.
Right.
I don't think there's a complete answer to that, to define exactly where it is, but we know for a fact it existed prior to what we know today, even as our modern day ideology, because people have always had these kind of concepts and lived their lives towards the betterment of humanity in that way.
Right. Interesting.
Well, everybody's aware of the symbolisms, right? Mm-hmm. Like the symbols that people identify with Freemasons, and what's behind the all-seeing eye, man?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You know what I mean? Like, what is behind the all-seeing eye? I mean, you see it everywhere. You see it obviously in the American bills, with the pyramid and the all-seeing eye and all that. The Eye of Ra, all this stuff.
Well,
that is.
Historically, there's always been symbols affiliated with things that, or organizations or groups or different types of things that exude a certain kind of ideology. Mm-hmm. Symbols can be used to perpetuate a very positive thing in terms of universally bringing people together on the same constructual belief. They can also be used to do some of the most heinous things.
Right.
And sometimes they can be misconstrued. For example, the swastika that you see that Hitler used during the Second World War is actually a Buddhist symbol.
Exactly.
That means good luck and one. But people, when they look at the swastika, that evokes a lot of pain for some people because of what it represented for a certain period of time. But that symbol existed thousands of years before it was utilized in a negative way.
India too. India has the same thing. Right?
So so in terms of Freemasonry, with the all-seeing eye, I mean, the all-seeing eye is really, in my understanding of it, is you're looking to really the pursuit of knowledge and in pursuit of seeing yourself advance to another level of being the best that you can be. That's how I personally perceive it. So a lot of the times I think these symbols are meant to guide us, and a lot of these organizations, and including ours, develop them for that purpose. But again, they can be misconstrued, just like I used in the analogy before, just because people will take it and they will use it in a different way, and it creates a whole different story from the reality of what it was actually initially meant to do. And most people don't know the original story.
Well, we had an interesting conversation about that, and how you compared your beliefs and your ideology to certain religions, right? And how some certain religions don't want to support your ideologies because they could be a conflict, right? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, it's a simple principle. Do you believe that all men, regardless of how they look, where they come from, what their skin tone is, are equal?
Right. Yes, I believe that we're all equal.
Well, if you believe that,
100%.
one of the fundamental principles of Freemasonry is that belief, that all men, regardless of their faith, background, or where they came from, are all equal, and we're all brothers in the concept of being Freemasons.
That's right.
Unfortunately, that might be the ideology, but in practice, it wasn't always that way.
Of course not.
Just because we know something is good doesn't mean that it's always used in a good way. That's one of the things that makes the brotherhood special, because you get to embrace and learn from other brothers that are from different backgrounds, different faiths, different walks of life. And in certain times in history, that wasn't something that was a little bit revolutionary when you think about it.
Right.
You know, and they became targets because they basically had that concept of fraternal brotherhood.
Yeah.
Right? And if you could be a Muslim, a Jew, a Christian, or belong to another faith, as long as you believe in a supreme being and join a Freemason group, certain religious organizations, certain governments, certain countries were not in tune with that. Right. So they made sure that they did everything to vilify that the people who actually did that. Because when you actually believe in the equality of all people it's not a beings. It's not a concept that everybody sort of
no, of course not
wants to live up to.
I know,
you can believe it, but we don't have to necessarily live up to it.
It sounds like you don't believe in that division and in dividing the thoughts and the beliefs of others, you know.
No.
And you kind of surround yourself in one ideology of the supreme being. Obviously, your supreme being could be translated as pantheism, right? So you believe in this universal God, that everything is God and everything is created by one supreme being.
Geometry.
And we're all part of it, right? And you can bring whatever belief you want, like that's what you're saying, and we'll accept that.
Yeah, the concept of the supreme being is similar, exactly like you said, in a way. In my understanding of it is that, you know, we have many different faiths on this planet.
Yeah.
Okay. But what do most religions help us to do? They help us to guide ourselves through our life, structure, develop a way of thinking, and we're supposed to utilize those concepts and faith to guide us to become what? Better human beings, better people, and service the communities that we live in. Well, the same thing applies here.
Right.
Yeah,
essentially you're building up a faith. And the faith is very strong.
Well, the faith is in your brothers. The faith is in understanding that the people that you are around you're not perfect, but you're learning and growing with each other because you have this desire to make a difference in the world by bettering not only yourself, but realizing it starts with you first, and then you can share that with the people around you.
And that's the way it should be, man.
Well, unfortunately, that's not a concept. That's not a concept that exists in, like, you know, a lot. I mean, it's
spreading the love, spreading the knowledge,
spreading the love, and I mean that's something that originally I think most Freemasons, I mean, they don't really talk about it, but those who practice it, they try to live up to that. Yeah. Nobody's perfect, but they try to live up to that. But we also have, like in every organization, every other structure of everything that exists on this planet, there's a division. Yeah. And people take things and they take it on a different level. So you can't force people to see, You like there's an old saying: you can get a horse to water, right, Jose? But you can't make it drink, right?
That's right.
So there's sometimes people can see a truth, but they don't necessarily want to accept that truth because their idea of the truth is completely different from what really exists. So we can't force people to accept that.
Right.
That's right.
What about you? What made you want to become a Freemason, and what year did you become one?
Well, I've been involved in Freemasonry now for over 20 years.
Wow.
And my lodge that I belong to here in Vancouver, True Resolution Lodge, number 16, which is chartered on the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Washington jurisdiction, on July 26, 2020, became 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
We are the oldest Afrocentric fraternity in Western Canada. And a lot of people don't know about us. A lot of people are unaware because we've never, unlike today where everybody's walking around with a camera, look at me, I'm a star. That's never been our thing. Our thing has always been, we have a group of men that got together, made a commitment to become better by serving them, learning how to become better themselves, and helping to serve the community at large. So for over 100 years, our organization here in the city has been helping people of every walk and background, every ethnic background, without discrimination, secretly.
Yeah,
because we never wanted to come out and say to people, "Well, hey, look at our white flag. Look what we're doing."
Yeah.
We've helped women who were in distress, men who were in distress. We fed people who were starving. We've done a lot of things, and over 100 years, even though we're a bunch of black men doing this, we did it based on the ideals and principles of what Freemasonry stands for. And in doing so, it allowed us and members that were part of our group to become better. We became better brothers. We became better fathers. Better to our friends. Right? And there's a certain way you walk. There's a certain swagger you have. There's a certain sense of confidence you have because you know what? You realize your life is just not all about you.
Right.
And you're trying to do something in this journey of your life for the betterment of yourself and everyone around you. And that gives you a sense of confidence and a belief that makes you even better as a human being. And I think for that reason, one of the principal reasons why Freemasonry was appealing to me.
Right.
Because I never had a group that I belonged to that showed me that kind of light or opened up my consciousness to that. And in becoming involved with that, I met some incredible men that really were and men that were some were in incredibly powerful positions, some that were not. It was like a dichotomy of a city. Everybody that basically could imagine. But the beautiful thing about it was everybody had something to offer. Everybody you can learn something from. Everybody treated you as a friend and as a brother, and to be part of a brotherhood where men live with a certain level of integrity and not only just say it but live it is very, very huge, and I think that shapes you as a human being, and those were the reasons why it appealed to me.
Right.
But when I joined, I realized something else too. It's like everything else. When you become a member and if you understand the principle and you educate yourself to the purpose behind what it's all about, you realize it's not about you. And you have to be a strong person because most of us are selfish. Exactly. We just want stuff for us. And we come in, we're like, yo, I'm going to be the man, But it's not about that. It's about
be honest to yourself.
Yeah, you have to discover yourself.
Yeah.
You have to discover, how am I going to be contributing part of this?
That's right.
And for a lot of men, that's a hard thing to do because we live in a world where if you're a man of color or a BIPOC, black, indigenous person of color, you have to struggle with survival in a way that makes you very antagonistic towards everything. So it's very hard to find a safe space where you can be a part of. Prince Hall Freemasonry became that for me. And it gave me a sense of empowerment to strive to be a better person. I'm not perfect by any means, but it allowed me to see that there's more to the world than my narrow perception of it was. And from that, I've been very blessed in terms of being a part of it.
What degree are you in Freemason?
Well, I'm a Master Mason. There's many different houses in Freemasonry, many different aspects of it. I have done some other parts of it, but to me, I think the highest honor you can achieve really is becoming a Master Mason, because when you become a Master Mason, that's when your acknowledgement of trying to be a builder, and a master of yourself, and a master of being the best in the community and the world at large. So for me, that's the accolades are great. They're wonderful to pursue, the different knowledges, because each degree that you pursue, you get knowledge and you learn more. And I think it's great to do that. But at the core of it, you still have to be that person who's a good builder.
Yeah, on that point, whenever I heard about a certain degree, like there was always a number thrown around, and it's the number 32. Like you got to reach the 32 degrees to become, the
33. Is it?
33 or 32, 33 or 33, something like that around it, right?
That is in a different. That's in a different part, a different house of Freemasonry.
Yeah.
And you have to get your 32nd degree to become a 33rd, right?
To become a 30, and then you get the secret.
You know,
Then you're told the truth, and you're like, damn, you walk out of that room with gray hair, man.
you know, I think in the acquisition of knowledge, there's always aspects to where you're going to learn certain things that you were not made aware of. Mm-hmm. And one of the things about life is that if your mind is open, you will discover aspects of things. And then when you discover a certain new knowledge or something you weren't aware of, and you look around you and you realize that knowledge is sort of universal and perpetuated in things that you see all around you, you're like, oh, okay, you know,
right.
And that to me is really part of the journey. Like,
Right.
you know, when you learn how to open yourself up to that.
Yeah. Well, more than ever, I think during these times, you know, during the whole COVID thing, I think we need to be more awake, and we need more aware. We need to be aware, and we need more of those secret, silent angels, you know, that come and help out people without any search for reward. Like just purely altruistic, you know, and we it's up to us, and it's a responsibility to make a change or to make our community better. And that's an amazing ideology, man, that it's bestowed with the Freemasons, man.
And the thing is, a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, right.
And they actually
if you bump into a silent angel, you know you're bumping into a Freemason, man.
There's possibility. I don't know. Not everybody's an angel. Go ahead. Not everybody's an angel, but you know, we have people, like I said, in every aspect of every part of life, we have people that take things to the good and bad. But I focus on just trying to live up to those concepts that I said. And by any means, it's sometimes the hardest thing to do. You know, because you have to be truthful with yourself and say, well, this is what I can do, and this is what I can't do.
Exactly. It's up
So
to your
the
limits.
numbers 3, 6, 9 in Freemasonry, what do they stand for?
The numbers represent different things in terms of, you know, building certain aspects of learning, in terms of different aspects of things that you go through. And I think I can't really disclose what those are, but I think in terms of that, it's just an opportunity for you to learn how those numbers affect certain aspects of things that exist all around us.
Well, that just leaves that leads us into our next segment of this, and the mysticism behind Freemasonry. Like, I know there's a supreme being, you believe in a supreme being and all this stuff, and there's a correlation between believing in faith, which is tied into a religious belief, right? I feel sometimes that once you're part of this brotherhood, you're all like interconnected, man. Like, I know this is like my spiritual side talking, but you know, like, do you feel, you feel like, you know, once you've reached a certain degree, you're able to like create that bond, and that where all you guys, without communicating, know what each other is doing, or because I like, honestly, I had an experience where I was at work, and a silent angel came to me and helped me out during a situation that I needed to be helped in, and he made me understand what I was going through, right? And he gave me a handshake, right? Like a certain handshake where I was like, okay, that feels weird, right? Like months later, I saw him driving a bus, a truck, a delivery truck, and he pulled over and he's like, hey, how's life going? How's everything going, man? And I was like, good. He's like, I knew I would see you here. And I was like, for some reason, I knew I would see you too, man. And then he goes, I'm a Freemason. I'm here to help you out. And I was like, dude, you guys call each other out like that? Like, you know what I mean? It was like he just popped out of nowhere, man. And it's like, is there something like that? Is there?
I think that in terms of that, what we tend to have is that a lot of brothers go out there and they look for good guys. They see good men struggling, and they basically provide assistance, like you said, a silent angel, or however you may want to, you know, validate that. And when you make a connection with people, especially when you do it on a level where it's a positive thing, it manifests.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah.
basically what it does. It manifests.
Universe.
That's right.
You know, and we're a universal organization because Freemasonry exists pretty much everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And some parts of it is, like I said, some people have taken it to a negative disposition, but
That's
the
right.
ideal principles of it is not.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned something about like the negative side of it, and in the history of Freemasonry here in BC, like Vancouver. You mentioned that at one time the VPD was all Freemasons, right?
Well, yeah. At one time, a lot of members that used to be part of the police force here in Vancouver used to be Freemasons. There were a lot of men that were involved in the various aspects of the city that were a huge part of Freemasonry here, and there's always been there were two separate groups. There was the group I belong to, which is the Prince Hall Freemasons, which was founded by a group of black men in 1775.
Wow,
And
that's awesome.
we had the Grand Lodge of BC and the Yukon, and you know they are an incredible group of individuals and people who were part of that organization because they basically embraced us as brothers, and unfortunately, that brotherhood doesn't always exist in certain places.
Right.
So BC was very unique in that, and my lodge, True Resolution Lodge number 16. On July 26, 2020, is now 100 years old. So we have the oldest black fraternal organization in Western Canada, and we've been here doing what we do,
That's
you know.
amazing.
And like I said, we've never gone out and really seeked accolades. We do what we do because we feel like that's the best thing that we can do in betterment of ourselves and the community we serve.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Any final questions?
This symbol. What does this represent? Right behind you, right here. Everybody wants to know that symbol.
Yeah, let's conclude this segment in this episode with the answer to that question right now.
Yeah.
Well,
That's that famous symbol.
I don't know. The symbol is it's a compass and it's a square and it's got a G, and I think when you
90-degree angle.
you know, when you go through a process, you will learn what all that means. You know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Can you tell us what the G stands for at least? Like,
I know. What do
right?
you think it stands for?
Geometry.
Geometry. All right, people. Well, that's it, man. That concludes our episode of the Freemason part of the mind behind the curtain. Thank you, Dudley. Man, that was amazing.
It was a pleasure, gentlemen. I'm glad
Yeah.
to share this knowledge with you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Sweet.
And this was a good time, and I hope we can help to maybe unclog some of the minds
Let's do it.
that exist.
Let's do it. And you know what? We promise you we're going to have more segments with Dudley because he's a brilliant man and he's got lots to talk about. Man, let's do part 2 to this.
Yeah,
what do you think?
2.
Yeah?
Definitely.
All right. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in a bit. We'll do part 2.
Yep.
Bye for now. That is insane. That is insane, guys. You are gonna get. Oh my God, I may even get in trouble. Who knows? Actually, I didn't give away anything too much, but I created the allure.